So Wick is 10 weeks old today, which means it is time for us to do a quick update on what it was like during week 9. Now, the first thing we did, exactly when he turned 9 weeks old, we had an appointment at our vet's. So we took him down for his vaccinations. Wick was pretty chilled out when he was in the waiting room, but he wanted to say hi to everybody. Now, every vet seems to do things slightly differently, which can be quite confusing. So our vet did his first vaccination and said that ideally we should wait 3 to 4 weeks before he can have the second one. Now, given he's already 9 weeks old, I didn't particularly want to push it to the 4 weeks, just because in terms of your socialisation window, it doesn't give you much time to get him out and about and being exposed to everything that we want to do. So we opted for the 3 weeks, which means we'll be back towards the end of June, I think it is, for his second vaccination. And then we have another 2 weeks to wait before he can officially go outside and start integrating with the wider world. Now, I'm going to say something that is arguably quite controversial. So, Wick will be 14 weeks old before he is officially fully vaccinated and deemed safe to go out and about. As a dog trainer, and obviously I specialise in puppy training, I know how important that first 16-week window is when it comes to socialisation. Now, obviously, he's been out and about in a carry bag for weeks now, being exposed to the noises of traffic and just general busyness. But if you've watched videos previously, you will see that I have had him out and about in the town centre. Arguably, he shouldn't be out there because he isn't vaccinated. However, I feel the risk to him, certainly because of his breed, is too great not to expose him to these things. So I am taking calculated risks as to where I allow him. On streets that I can clearly see are clean and around dogs that I know are vaccinated because I know the dog and the owner. I'm not letting him meet people properly. I'm not letting him socialise with other dogs. I'm letting him watch them as they go by because I want him to know that they exist, but they don't necessarily mean fun and excitement and interaction all the time. So it's really important to me that he has that exposure, but I accept it's a risk, but I'm being sensible about it. I'm not taking him into the woods. I'm not taking him into fields where there is a huge risk of parvovirus. We don't currently have an outbreak, but the reality is parvo does live in the ground for years, completely undisturbed. So you don't know what's lurking. I'm very mindful of that. I don't recommend everybody does this. You have to decide what is right for you and your pup. I have decided that this is right for us because the reality is we are both dog trainers. We work with numerous dogs in numerous locations. We have our own dogs who go out and about. The risk of bringing something home is already quite high. Again, we take steps to kind of mitigate those risks. We don't just go in foolhardy and just hope for the best. We are pretty careful, but there are risks associated with it. So we're kind of like, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's get him out and about, sensible locations only. So with that out of the way, what have we actually been working on this week? I've been doing more work with Wick and his makeshift pivot box, the trusty old cardboard box. So this week I started introducing movement for him. There's a bit of coercion, but he's still following a lure. And again, for me, it's not about him getting anything perfect. It still remains all about him being happy to interact, follow the food in my hand, and generally just be confident around the box. I also started introducing markers this week. Now, if you have watched previous videos, you will see, assuming that I had volume on, that I haven't actually been using any verbal commands with Wick at all. So it's all just been about body language and following laws and using hand signals. So this week I wanted to just step things up a little bit for him and just start introducing it. So I'm not going to get too technical, but I am using a continuation marker for him, which is good. I sound like an idiot, so please forgive me, but this is dog training. So the idea of this is that he is in a position, he gets his good command, and he knows that he is going to get a reward. Now that reward is pretty instant at the moment because he is a 9-week-old puppy, and I want him to start building that association. Over time, I can start making things a little bit protracted and we can start having a gap between the good and then the actual reward, but we are just building the basics and the foundations right now. Good. Good. Now, you'll see at the end of that video, I added in a yes right at the end of his session. Now, that is designed to make him come to me to claim his reward. So for him, that says, you can now leave position, you can come to me, you can get your reward, and then we're done. So again, I'm just starting to introduce this, nothing particularly formal at the moment. We're just starting to figure it out together. I always say that the best dog trainers are actually dogs. This is the best way for a puppy to learn. So Wick is interacting with his mum, Margot, and he is learning how to play, by inhibition and social cues. Here I am introducing a verbal command to Wick's sit.
Sits. Good.
Previously, we've only been using hand commands, so now I want him to get used to hearing the word sits and what that actually means.
Sits. Good. Sits. Good. Yes. Sits. Good. Good.
This is quite an important moment when it comes to reinforcement.
Good.
You can see Wick is lifting his paw up, and I choose not to reward his behaviour because I don't want him to associate lifting his paw with getting his reward. The reward is actually for sitting with all 4 paws on the floor. I don't want to confuse matters for him, so I withhold the reward. We still have a lot of Wick's litter mates, and one thing I have noticed over the last week is that Wick might be a bit of a bad influence. So he has figured out stairs, he's brilliant at getting up them, a little bit, let's say, nervous about going down, and so he has taken his brother Achilles towards the stairs, and Achilles is obviously slightly less physically able than Wick. This is here purely for comedic value. No puppies were harmed in the filming of this video. Oh no! Okay, so I'm calling you Slinky. Although Wick has been out and about in Darwin Town Centre, this was his first ever actual on-lead walk. So you can see here that he stopped. I'm not forcing him to keep moving. I want him to know that he has some degree of autonomy at this stage because I'm trying to build his confidence. He was watching a dog crossing the road just behind us, and he's listening out to everything, and that's the sort of thing I want to encourage at the moment. We live quite close to a main road, so it's really important from my perspective that all of our dogs aren't bothered by traffic. Even if you're going to spend most of your time in the woods, the reality is you never know when you're going to have to cross busy roads to get to your destination. So here I am feeding Wick. He is calm, he is relaxed, and just rewarding that calm, relaxed behaviour despite the fact that all this traffic is going on around him. He's not bothered. I mean, here he's getting a little bit frustrated because he can see that one of his actual bits of kibble has gone a little bit away from him, and he's desperately trying to get it, and I'm not giving him quite enough lead. I was very excited this week because our new official pivot box arrived. So I have thrown away the cardboard box, which is probably just as well because it's starting to look a little bit tatty, and we have moved on to this. So I initially started just building up Wick's confidence with this particular box. He wasn't remotely bothered by the change at all, so we're just getting him to move around the box, again building up a positive association that he gets rewarded when he interacts with it. Once he'd settled into working on the new box, we started to think about introducing a little bit more movement. Now, obviously, I did that earlier on in the week and I was encouraging him to move around. Here, I'm just allowing him to do it a little bit more naturally and rewarding that behaviour. This is exactly what we're looking to see. It's probably a little bit more advanced than I was expecting, but we are going at his speed. I have 2 foundation rules when it comes to puppy training. Everything should be done with a purpose, and it should be as fun as you possibly can make it. Now that's for your pup, but also for you as well, because some dog training is really quite boring. It's just repetition after repetition to get that consistency. So add in the fun and excitement where you can. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I am always dancing in my kitchen. It is something that the dogs have to get used to quite quickly, as is my singing. Just to let you know, there is no singing involved in this next clip, just some dubious dance moves, for which I apologise, but you'll also have to get used to them. I am just playing a game with Wick here, whilst also just bringing a bit more of a different energy to see whether he can concentrate during that distraction. We're just having some food in one hand. He has to pick the hand that the food's in, and then he gets reward. So he is having to use his nose, he is having to work out the puzzle, and he is having to contend with me, really.
Giants up for Detroit. I love this city. Giants up for Detroit. I love this city. Giants up. Giants up. Giants up.
So all in all, it's been a pretty good week as far as Wick's been concerned. He has consistently engaged with training. He has, I've noticed, engaged with me an awful lot more during the week as well. If he is out in the kitchen, he will come and seek me out. If it's getting busy with the other dogs, he will come and sit by me, all of which I reward because I want him to come and find me if he's feeling overwhelmed, and I will obviously advocate for him. He's still sleeping brilliantly. He absolutely loves his food. He's predominantly hand-fed, so that can be quiet hand feeding where nothing is expected of him other than to eat, and there's also training based hand feeding because I don't use treats. I only ever use his actual kibble, so he has that drive to work for his food. I'm saving the higher value treats for maybe slightly trickier things for as he gets older, and I'll introduce them as and when I think that they're required, but at the moment he is more than happy just working for bog standard dog food. So anyway, that was week 9. Tune in next week to find out what else we have in store.